Hi there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel Made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me today. Whether you're an existing subscriber or whether you're new to the channel, I'm really glad to have you here. My channel is all about sewing with a little bit of knitting thrown in. And today's vlog is a bit different. I often share makes and fabric hauls, but in today's vlog I'm going to talk about some of my favourite sewing patterns and my favourite sewing patterns specifically for winter jumpers. So at the moment I'm in the south of England and we're heading into autumn and it's starting to get a bit cooler. So I've been getting my winter wardrobe out and reminding myself of my favourite jumper patterns, and I thought I'd like to share them with you and talk a bit about them and you know, how tricky they are to sew and what kind of fabrics I've used and all that sort of thing, and hopefully give you some inspiration for winter sewing, and also maybe just remind myself of what I've got and get some inspiration for what I should be wearing this winter. So that's the plan. So before I get started talking about my favourite winter jumper sewing patterns, I thought I'd share what I'm wearing today. I was hoping to wear one of my winter jumpers to show you it, but actually it's surprisingly warm today. It has been a bit cooler this week, and it was cool this morning when I went out on the school run, but the sun is now streaming in through the window and I'm feeling quite warm. So instead I'm wearing a t-shirt, and it's the Scout tee by Grainline company, and I made it in this viscose, and it's actually, I originally made a blouse in this viscose. It's got little foxes on it, so it's quite sweet. Yeah, I made a blouse in this viscose originally. I think it was the blouse by the Avid seamstress, and it was my first time making it, and I over-ordered on the fabric, or I needed less fabric than the pattern suggested. So I had about a metre left, and the Grainline Scout tee is perfect for squeezing into a metre or so of fabric, because it's only got tiny little sleeve pieces. You need a little bit of bias binding to finish the neckline, and then just a couple of, you know, a front and a back for the t-shirt, and it comes together really nicely. So it's a perfect quick sew that doesn't need too much fabric for woven fabric. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. It's got, yeah, kind of little cap sleeves, kind of a slightly scooped neckline, and it just sits kind of, I've just made mine so it just sits just around my jeans level. So I'm wearing it with jeans today. So that's what I'm wearing. Got the pattern here to show you just in case you're interested. Here it is. So yeah, just quite a straightforward t-shirt. It's a beginner level pattern and just perfect for using up smaller scraps of woven fabric. So that's the Grainline Scout tee. But anyway, let's move on to my favourite jumper patterns. So I've picked 5 jumper patterns I wanted to show you, and they're ones I've used quite a lot and that I really like. So let's dive in. So the first pattern I wanted to talk about is actually the first jumper I actually sewed. And it's using, again, a pattern by Grainline Studio, and it's the Linden sweatshirt. So it's quite a classic sweatshirt, I'd say, with raglan sleeves, just a kind of a classic kind of crude style neck, and it comes in a short sleeve version too, and a longer version that hits kind of the hips with a thicker band, and then and this sort of t-shirt style one doesn't have a band at the bottom, you just sew it up. This is another beginner pattern by Grainline Studio, and I think it's a great start pattern for if you want to make a sweatshirt. It comes in sizes 0 to 18, and so size 0 is bust 32 inches, waist 25 inches, hips 35 inches, and 18, the largest size it comes in, is bust 44 inches, waist 37 inches, and hips 47 inches. And what to mention about this pattern, I think the only tricky bit with this pattern is the neckband, putting in the neckband, and I think when I started to sew I struggled a little bit with that. Once you've got the neckband in, it's plain sailing. And what I recommend with fitting a stretch neckband, what I do at least, is I cut it per the pattern piece, and then I baste it in using like a long straight stitch to see how it sits. And before I actually sew it in properly, because sometimes depending on the amount of stretch in the fabric, you need to adjust the piece slightly, because the neckbands don't always sit exactly the same depending on whether you're using, like I say, a thick fleece fabric or a very lightweight jersey. So that's my first pattern I wanted to show you. I made a few versions of this, and this is my first ever jumper I made in this pink geometric fabric. And this came from Material Girl Laura, I think, and I thought it was quite cute, and I've got a lot of wear out of it. So yeah, you can see the raglan sleeves, the neckline, and I didn't have an overlock at that point, so these edges aren't finished with an overlocker, but because it's knit fabric it doesn't fray, so that's okay. And then I've got the bottom band as well. And then I've also got to show you a Christmassy version I made last Christmas, which was quite fun. So here in the UK, at Christmas time, Christmas jumpers are quite a big thing at the moment, and people often wear them to offices, and the kind of sillier and more novelty the better. And I love this fabric. I can't remember where I got it from, but it's really cute with lots of little people skating on it. I thought it was really sweet, so I made that, and I had a bit of fun with this one, and I made it with red stitching around the neckline and the cuffs. Oh, so the sun's kind of not showing us the red stitching, just for a bit of fun. And that's my second Linden I made, and I'll put a picture up of myself wearing one of the Lindens, whichever I can find, just so you can see how it fits. It's got quite a nice fit. It's kind of relaxed, but not too oversized, so I like that. So that's my first winter jumper pattern that I really like. A nice straightforward sew, the Linden sweatshirt. Oh, and I meant to mention on the Linden sweatshirt, the fabric requirement is for medium weight knit with a minimum of 20% stretch. I think anything that wasn't stretchy enough, you'd struggle to get it on, and it wouldn't be very comfy moving around in it. And I used, for both my versions, like a loop back jersey that's fairly lightweight, so it's kind of more of an autumn jumper than like a really snuggly thick winter jumper. One final Linden sweatshirt I wanted to show you that I made was actually one I ended up hacking. So it started, I'll show you a picture of how it started, I'll pop it up here. It started as a standard Linden sweatshirt with the raglan sleeves, and I used ribbing for the cuffs and the collar and the bottom band, black ribbing. But the ribbing on the neckband, I don't know what happened, but it ended up stretching out of shape. The whole neckband stretched out of shape, and it wasn't right. So rather than just kind of pop it in the kind of gone wrong pile, I decided to hack it. So what I did was I took off the neckband and I took off the bottom band, and I replaced the bottom band with a wider bottom band for a bit of a feature, and then I added a cowl neck onto the top, and so I'll put a picture down here of how it looks now. And I used the pattern piece from the Tilly and the Buttons sprayer. It's a dress and top from the Tilly and Buttons stretch book, and it comes with a cowl neck version. So I cut out some more of this fabric that I had left over in the cowl neck pattern piece, and I attached that to the top. So it's left me with kind of like a mashup of the Linden and the Freya, and I really like it, and it's really cosy with this cowl neck. So I thought I'd just show you that, how you can sometimes rescue a garment when something's gone wrong. So I turned it into something that didn't really look quite right with a stretched neckband into like a bit of a mix of patterns. And it was quite easy to do because the fabric's quite stretchy. The cowl neck went in quite easily to the neckband, to the neck hole of the jumper. And I really like it now, and I wear it a lot more than I would have done if it wasn't quite right. So that's another Linden I made. My next pattern is more of a snuggly thick winter jumper pattern, and it's this one here, the Toaster Sweater by Sew House 7. And it comes in two versions again. I like how jumper patterns, you usually get a couple of different variations, so you can mix it up. One of them is a funnel neck that's with raglan sleeves and really oversized cuffs and an oversized bottom band, which I think is quite a nice feature. And the second one, which I haven't actually made this version, is it's got a faced mini funnel neck, and it's fitted through the shoulders and sleeves, and it has a high-low hem with side vents. So that's that version, but yes, you can see that's kind of a split at the edges there. I said I've just made this version, I'll put this one, the model in the picture, and it's one of my favourite patterns because it comes together so quickly. This is the first version I made, and I made it in this really snuggly fleeceback sweatshirt fabric. I think it came from First for Fabrics originally. It was a long time ago when I got it. So you can see inside it's really all fleecy and cosy, and it's got the funnel neck and the long cuffs there. And what I really like about this pattern is how quickly it sews up, and particularly there's no issue with getting the neckband to stay flat because it's a stand-up funnel neckline. So if you're nervous about putting in stretched neckbands, I'd recommend you give this pattern a go and use version 1 here, because you don't have any trouble with the neckband, so you can practice other stretch sewing techniques without worrying about that bit. It's kind of designed to sit a little bit higher. It's not a super long sweatshirt, so I usually wear it with like a longer t-shirt underneath to keep my my midriff kind of nice and cosy too. But yeah, it's really quickly comes together, and I've made that version here, and also this version in Liberty sweatshirt, which is really thick, and again version 1 with this really nice pink inside, again really fleecy and cosy. So I really reach for these jumpers in winter because it's almost like a jumper and a scarf in one with the nice high neckband. And the pattern instructions are great, and I also like on the back how they've got a ruler for calculating how much stretch you need in the fabric. So this pattern, like the Grainline Linden, requires knit fabric with at least 20% stretch, and it shows you here you can put the fabric up against here and stretch it and see if you can get to this line, and if you can get to that line it means you've got 20% stretch. So I think that's quite nifty, having the little tool on the back to check the fabric's suitable. So yeah, it said version 1 needs sweatshirt fleeces, ponte or scuba, but version 2 you can make in jersey knit or even stretch woven wool. So that's a toast sweater, a classic pattern. I really recommend it as a kind of a beginner sewing pattern for a winter jumper. And I forgot to say, I'll put a picture up of me wearing one of the toaster sweaters so you can see how it looks on me, yeah, and how it sits. So that's my second winter sewing pattern that I really love for jumpers. The third winter jumper sewing pattern that I love is this one. It's the Kyoto sweater and tee by Papercut Patterns. It's the only pattern I have from Papercut Patterns. I don't know why, but I really love it. It comes in 2 versions. The jumper with a little frill on the sleeve. It's like a dropped shoulder sleeve with a frill, and that's a detail I really loved and the reason why I got this pattern. And it also comes in a t-shirt version, again with dropped shoulders and then short sleeves with little frill, which I haven't made, but I really like to make it, and I've seen some lovely versions of that. I think, and I'd also like to try and make this one in maybe like a lighter weight fabric, but so far I've made them it in a couple of thicker fabrics for winter, and so I'll show you what I've made. I've made one version in this beautiful Atelier Brunette fabric. It is fleecy backed, but quite a lightweight fleecy backed fabric. And yes, so you can see these little ruffle sleeves here. And yeah, I just think it's really cute and a nice variation on a classic sweatshirt. And the ruffles are really quite easy to put in. They just need a little finish under the edge. You turn up the little ruffles and sew them in, and then they kind of gather in to the sleeves. And I also made a version in this beautiful pink Sew at 6 fabric, again with the ruffles. And when I made this version, I got enough fabric to make my daughter a matching dress, and I'll put a picture of us up wearing our matching jumper and dress. And I made her dress using a children's pattern that has quite a similar style. And it's this one here, it's the Ikiti Jasmine sweatshirt. Again, it's got a little ruffle on the sleeves. And I turned it into like a sweater dress. I lengthened it and just, lengthened it and then added the bottom band on lower. So we kind of twinned in those, although that was last winter and she's grown out of it now. So I'm left on my own wearing this one. But yeah, I think it's just a really nice, quite feminine design, this pattern, and just something a little bit different. And the instructions were good. It says they rated their patterns as rookie, skilled, expert, and this comes up as a rookie pattern, so it should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, what sizes do they do? I'm not sure what their sizing's like. Let me have a little look. Their pattern instructions come in a bit of an unusual form. They like to use a lot of recycled materials, so they come in this little, I think it's a recycled paper book, and it comes in extra small to extra large. And where are the sizes? Oh, here we are. So the extra small is bust 32, waist 24.5, hip 34.5, and the extra large is bust 44 inches, waist 36.25, and hip 46.5. So yeah, that's that one. And it says you can use it for a light to medium weight stretch fabric, so not for such a thick fabric as the other patterns I've discussed before. My next pattern, and which I think you've heard me talking about before because it's one that's a bit newer to me and I've made a few versions this year, so I might have mentioned in my previous vlogs, and it's this pattern here. It's the Jarrah sweatshirt by Nielsen. And I think it's my current favourite sweatshirt pattern. Particularly what I love about this pattern is the number of variations you get. So here you are. It's described as a loose fit drop shoulder sweater, but you can do it with a crew neck or a funnel neck, and different sleeve options. Oh, can you see there's kind of why is it not focusing? Oh, a kind of split sleeve here, or a cuffed sleeve, and also you can do a tie at the waist, or a waistband, or a two-leg dipped sort of hem, or a straight hem. So yeah, there's so many options in this pattern. With Nielsen patterns, one thing I really like is the instructions are really clear and straightforward to follow. So I think it's a great one if you're a beginner sewer to try. I think it does say it's a beginner pattern. Does it say it's a beginner pattern? Oh yeah, it says here skill level is 1 spot. So yeah, it's a great one to start with, I'd say. And the sizing is from 0 to 20, with 0 being bust 32, waist 24, hip 34, up to size 20, which is bust 46, waist 38, hip 48. And it's quite a relaxed fit style on this one, which is quite nice, I think, for winter, where you don't want necessarily to be too tight and restricted in a sweatshirt. So it is nice and relaxed. And I think I made the size 0, even though my measurements are slightly bigger than that. And actually it came up quite a nice fit. And so this one requires medium weight knits with at least 10% stretch, such as sweatshirt fleece, French terry and sweater knits. So I'll show you my versions. The first version I made, and I made 2 of these, is the tie version. I'll just, so this is another another CU at 6 fabric. This is a loop back jersey this time. And yeah, you can see the tie down here, which is untied at the moment. And I'll put a picture up so you can see it with the tie done up. And so it's got the drop shoulders, and it's just really relaxed, easy to wear, great to throw on over a pair of jeans, this jumper. And I made 2 of these. I'll try and put up pictures of both versions of the tie version. And the other version I made was in a thicker fabric, in this beautiful, the softest fleecy backed sweatshirt ever, in rust colour with these black dots on. So it's fleecy fabric. And this version I made with the plain bottom band. And again, I'll put up a picture of me wearing this one. It's just really relaxed, a little bit oversized, really comfy, and I love it. I love all my jumpers actually. I love a jumper. I'm almost looking forward to the weather getting a little bit cooler so I can pop them on every day. So that's the Nielsen Jarrah jumper. I just think you get your value for money with this one, with so many different versions, and you can have a lot of fun mixing and matching the versions. So that's that one. One other thing I wanted to mention about the Nielsen Jarrah sweater, which I just remembered, was regarding the ties. So I made this version here with the ties, but the fabric, which is a sort of French terry, actually reverse French terry. It's kind of got the loops on the outside and the smooth fabric on the inside, which is a bit different, and I quite like it. It's a rough texture. Anyway, this fabric has a white background. So I thought when I did the ties up, I didn't want it to show the white when they're kind of sort of tied up. So what I did is I added a facing to the back of the ties, as you can see. So I drafted that facing using the pattern piece for the tie front, and then just cut it off at this point rather than further up. And I just add that facing on instead of just turning up the hem, so that when I tie this piece up, you don't see any of the white inside fabric, like that. It does make it a little bit bulkier on the ties, so I think you wouldn't necessarily be able to do it with too thicker fabric, but it worked well because this is fairly lightweight French terry. So that's just one little tip for the tie waist version of the Nielsen Jarrah. Oh, and I also just remembered I made one last version of the Jarrah. I made a few of that one, and it was a cropped version to wear as part of a loungewear set with a pair of true bias Hudson pants I made. So I'll pop that up too, so you can see how it looks as a cropped version. And I pretty much did that by cutting off the pattern at a bit of a higher point and adding the band on higher again, just to make a relaxed evening version. So that was that. But now moving on to my final pattern I wanted to share with you as part of my winter jumper sewing patterns vlog, and it's this one here. It's the Southbank sweater by Nina Lee. I had this pattern for a while, and then I finally bit the bullet and made it, and I really like it. It's a bit similar to the toaster sweater because it's got a funnel neck, but it's, instead of a raglan sleeve, it's got a drop shoulder, which I actually prefer on me. I think it suits my shoulders, which are a bit angular, better. And I really like how you can make a dress version, so you can make a really snuggly winter jumper dress using this pattern, as well as a cropped option or kind of a classic jumper option. It's another one that comes together really quickly because there's no issue with making sure the neckband lies flat because it's a sit-up funnel neckline. And yeah, I really like it. I've made several versions, and I thought I'd show you one of my versions here, which is the cropped version. It's made in this navy blue fleecy fabric, and it's just cropped, and I find this version goes so well over dresses and skirts in the winter because it's not too bulky, so it just kind of sits nicely around the kind of high waist, and then the dress kind of is nicely shown off underneath with a swishy skirt. I'll put a picture up of me wearing this jumper with my indigo dress by Tilly and the Buttons if I can find it, because I really like that combination. And I've also made a sweater dress, and I'll put a picture up of me wearing that too. Actually, I'll see if I can find that one. I couldn't find it, but I suddenly thought I might know where it is. Found the sweater dress version, and here it is. There you are. It's a bit wrinkly because hasn't been worn since last year. I need to give an iron before I get this one out on me. But it's as I say, the drop shoulders in this lovely chevron knit fabric I got from Lamazi Fabrics. I'll link them below. And it also has pockets, which is pretty cool. You can see, and it's just super snuggly, really. Perfect for a cold day with a nice thick pair of tights. So I really recommend it, and super casual, super comfy as well. This is definitely a secret pyjamas dress, and that's the Southbank sweater. And the sizing on that one, it's from size 6 to size 20 UK sizes. And the size 6 is bust 32, waist 24, hips 33.5, and the size 20 is bust 46, waist 38, hips 47.5. So yeah, it's a lovely pattern and some nice details on that one. Another nice thing about this pattern is that version 2, this sort of classic, more classic sort of style length sweater can be made with stretchier, lighter weight fabrics like viscose jersey, and I think it would look really nice as a bit more of a drapey option in the viscose jersey, maybe for autumn rather than winter, or underneath like a pinafore or something. So I think that's a great option too. But that's the Southbank sweater, my final favourite pattern. I also wanted to mention one other pattern while I was talking, which is a men's sweater pattern, in case any of you are looking to do some sewing for men's jumpers. My husband, I haven't really made him a great deal of clothes. I've made him the Hudson pants, and also last year I made him his first jumper using this pattern here. It's the I Am Apollon pattern by I Am Patterns, and it's for men. And I just wanted to mention it because it's such a classic sweatshirt pattern, and I thought it was quite a useful one to have for him, because I think he'll get quite a lot of use out of jumpers like this. And the version I made for him was another Christmas jumper version, because he does get hot quite quickly, and he doesn't like anything too thick, and a lot of Christmas jumpers are made in the shops are made in quite thick, cosy fabric, which he just overheats wearing. So I made him in this lightweight kind of loop back jersey. It's very lightweight, this rather jolly, rather loud Christmas jumper, yeah, with lots of jolly novelty characters on. I'll put up a picture of him wearing it. The fit came up really nicely. I guess it reminds me a little bit of the Linden sweatshirt, except it's not got raglan sleeves. I don't know what you describe these sleeves as, but not raglan ones. So that's that one, and that's his jumper, and I'll put a picture up of him wearing it so you can see how that fits, as I said. So yeah, I thought I'd add that on one men's jumper pattern. I haven't tried any other men's jumper patterns, so if there are any that you really recommend, I'd be interested to hear, because I think he probably would like it if I did sew a little bit more for him. So that's my 5 favourite winter jumper sewing patterns, with one men's jumper pattern and one children's jumper pattern thrown in too. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and it might have given you some inspiration for your winter wardrobe. It's definitely made me start thinking about my winter wardrobe, and I'm really looking forward to getting some wear out of those jumpers this year, and also it's given me a little bit of a few thoughts about what else I might want to be making. So thanks so much for watching. I might try and do a couple more of this format of vlog where I talk about my 5 favourite sewing patterns for a particular type of garment. So if you've enjoyed it and you would like to see more of that type of vlog, do let me know down below. Or if you have any questions about any of the patterns, or any thoughts on your favourite winter jumper patterns, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, all remains for me to say is I hope you have a great day, and I hopefully see you again soon. Bye bye!